So, because everything is in a panic right now, I thought it would be really awesome to go over some different ways to stay calm throughout this. And one of the things that's really helped me is mindfulness and meditation. And even though I'm just a baby at it, it still is becoming something that is becoming more second nature, because I'm reminded to stop and come back to this moment, even though there's so much chaos and uncertainty. So I wanted to bring you on, Amira, because you're my mindfulness coach, and then also you're just really good at it. I love seeing your presentations. So,
aw, that's sweet. Thank you. Thank you. So I know right now there's a lot of stress and anxiety in regard to the virus that's happening. And one of the things that I'm often reminded of is that people feel that mindfulness and meditation is kind of not real. It seems almost fluffy and doesn't work. But with consistent practice, this is basically what it's built for difficult moments, stressful moments. There's a calmness in me personally. Yes, you want to take precaution with yourself and be cautious, but there's nothing that's going to come of watching the news and being hysterical other than fear. And we know what fear does to the body. You are a pro at that. I just like to hear from you, from your knowledge, what does fear do to the body?
Yeah. So right now, a lot of people don't realize that what's happening is there's a global trauma because of the pandemic, because of this fear. All of our bodies are in this state of sympathetic nervous system activation. When we develop from the brainstem up. And the brainstem is what controls all those essential functions. And so as we grow up and as we develop, the most mature thoughts are up here in the prefrontal cortex. But they're also the last to get resources and blood. So when we're in that sympathetic nervous system state, all of that blood is shunted down to survival. And that means our heart rate's amplified and prefrontal cortex is shut down, which means our decision-making and reasoning and planning and all of those things are impacted.
Right.
And so we feel that fear because our bodies know that there's a threat. And it's that more immature part. So our prefrontal cortex has to come back and teach our body to be calm again.
Right.
And that's one of the ways that mindfulness and meditation come in.
Right. And the thing with fear, we were made just like animals, how they're, how you got a bunch of hyenas circling a lion. They're made for, our bodies are made for that fight or flight when there's an emergency happening. But what happens is we don't shut it off. Our normal day-to-day life, we don't shut off that fear base, and it's really unhealthy for our bodies. And so that's the key most of the time. When animals are in the wild, after the threat is gone, they go back to just normal, relaxed, they're chill. And with us, when situations happen, we never have that just chill. We're still heightened at all times, and that's when you get chronic anxiety and low immune system and all of those other things. So.
Oh yeah, and going back to that, with animals, so when you get that triggering of there's a threat, the sympathetic nervous system comes on, and animals, you can notice it in a deer. They freeze, their whole body tenses. There's a muscle that we have called the psoas muscle, and it goes from our spine to the top of our thigh, and it's like a hip flexor. And what it does is it kind of tilts us down and tenses us. It's also called the trauma muscle because it's activated when that sympathetic nervous system comes on. So our body is still responding like an animal and freezes and is ready for action, where an animal after the threat can run away, they shake it off. You've seen the animals and deers do that shake. We can do that too. It's a somatic tremor.
Yeah.
But they release that energy. And because humans, we don't just have the physical threats, we have these cognitive threats. We know it, And so we don't really realize that we need to release the threat and stuff from our body and let that go.
Yeah.
So that's part of one of the tricks and tools that we're doing today.
Yeah. And mindfulness really helps with, when you're doing it consistently, it really helps you stay in the present moment.
Per usual, there was at least one thing that went wrong, which meant that there was an interruption in the video recording, which we didn't catch for a few minutes. So right before we went to the meditation, it cut out. So Amira was kind enough to re-record the meditation part separately. So we will play that and then we'll cut back over to the rest of the video.
So we are going to start this meditation together. Before we begin, I want to take a few deep breaths in through the nose, out through the mouth. One more time, in through the nose, out through the mouth. And we're going to do some love and kindness meditation today. If you could open up your heart space, and as you're breathing, inhale all the love in the world that you have. If it helps to imagine somebody that you care about, a sibling, a child, a coworker, and give that person all the love you can. Inhale. Exhale gratitude. Relax your shoulders. It's okay if you need to be laying down. It's okay to have fear. It's okay to have worry. It's normal. Where we fall into trouble is when we allow that worry to go on for too long. It's okay to take precaution. We want to be safe. We want to make sure our vulnerable people in the world are safe. But we can still be okay and know that we're okay right here, right now. If you're able, put one hand on your heart, one hand on your belly. Hold tight. Breathe in. Exhale out. You are okay. Everything is okay. Relax your shoulders. As we start to bring our awareness to the here and now, I want you to bring awareness throughout your day. Just being thankful, being open, focusing on gratitude. One more breath in. Exhale, make some noise. One more time. When you're ready, go ahead and wiggle your hands, wiggle your toes. Open your eyes when you're ready. Thank you for joining me today. How do you feel?
I feel good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Me too.
I always feel silly when it's time to breathe out, but with sound.
Mm-hmm.
But it's good.
It feels good. It sounds.
And I think
silly.
it helps just get some of that vocal stuff that we hold in that we can't say, just those words we never end up saying. I feel like it's a release.
Mm-hmm. It's it sounds so silly, but it's it feels amazing.
Yeah, it does for sure. Yeah, it's just so important to keep all these things in mind right now, because we can't change anything necessarily about what's coming, and we don't even know.
Right.
We've never been in a global situation like this.
Yeah.
And we don't know what's going to happen, and
Yeah.
it is totally normal to be afraid. And there's no shame at all in that, but we don't have to sit in it.
Mm-hmm.
And we may not be totally able to release all the fear,
Right.
and there's no shame in that, but there's things that we can do to help lessen that. And when we do it for ourselves, we can also help other people do it. So it's super important to learn, even if we don't feel like we're doing or having a really hard time, just by learning and talking about it and being willing to share different tips with people.
Yeah.
You never know who's struggling with it.
Yeah.
And feeling ashamed of the fear or just the unknown. I know that there was people that were feeling shame for not being prepared, and it's you don't need to feel shame for that, and people should not be making you feel that way either.
Yeah.
Because nobody expected this.
Yeah.
Nobody's been through this before.
And I don't know if you were remember when the swine flu hit in 2009? I had the swine flu. I was one of the people that had the swine flu, and I got through it. We were in Texas. The person I was with at the time, we had just got on the plane to go home from Texas, and literally within minutes of takeoff, I knew that I was sick. I had heard about the swine flu here and there, but by the time we landed, we were full-blown fever, sweat, chills. It was but we survived. We survived. So it's pretty gnarly to get a major flu sickness like that, but especially if you're younger and you're healthy, which is why it's also important to not only take care of your mind, but take care of your body and your gut health. It's a huge passion for me to use gut health.
Yeah, well, it's really important. Part of that parasympathetic and sympathetic nervous system, when you are in fight or flight mode, that changes your digestion and everything too. So if you have chronic stress, it will absolutely affect your gut, because it slows down digestion. It affects the way that just the timing of digestion and all of that. And that's a big deal. And 90% of your serotonin is made in your gut. Yeah. And so you need that stuff.
People don't really understand. And processed foods and that type of stuff, it just wreaks havoc on the gut. But gut health is a totally different topic that we could talk about some other time.
It definitely is probably going to come up with all these changes that we're all trying to do and to figure out how to stay our most healthy during this panic and this crisis and stuff. But that, like what I was talking about, the somatic tremor, actually, it does work too. Like if you're having a panic attack or something, or you feel that panic coming on, you can like tense yourself up and kind of jump up and down a couple times. You ever seen like guys when they get really amped up and they're like, they start to it's like, that's kind of a similar effect where it kind of like helps you release some of that energy and tension. Because there's not an action that you can take. And a lot of times when we have trauma that impacts us long term from a crisis, it's because we weren't able to act in the moment to do anything to control the situation. And so when we can't act on our behalf, it really creates this traumatic holdup within us. And so even something as simple as like jumping up and down and kind of like releasing that energy can help you move through trauma and crisis with less lasting impact.
I saw somebody, I watched a video where they kind of did it was kind of a meditation, but at some point they said, ball your hands up really tight, squeeze, and then exhale and let it out. And so that's kind of reminded me of that.
Yes, absolutely. That stuff is so important, you know, because we have all of these social things that keep us from doing what we instinctively would when we're in crisis. Like, we're not going to jump up and down and be like, oh, like, oh man, that scared me for a second, you know, like an animal would. And they don't have no shame in that, but like, we're like, oh, that's embarrassing. But really, it would help us move through the moment a lot easier if we could just utilize mindfulness or breathe. Like, you need to stop and just breathe wherever you are and just be like, I'm 1,000 miles ahead, or I'm feeling a shit ton of shame from things that happened before. Being able to just stop and say, nope, I need to come back to this moment right here, because that stuff's already happened and that stuff's not here yet. But right now I'm safe and I'm breathing and I'm okay.
There's a meme that I shared on I have it in my phone actually, but it's a visualization of there's three people. There's one, a psychic about your past, there's present moment in the middle, and then there's future psychic readings. And everybody was lined up for the past and the future, but nobody was lined up in the meditation present moment. And that's kind of a perfect example of how people feel. They want to know about their past, they want to keep going back in the past, and they want to know about the future and what's going to happen. But to be truly at peace, like a genuine peace, not just like a Facebook happy look like peace joy, you really have to be in the present moment, and you really have to check yourself when you're either dwelling or obsessing off of the past or wanting to know the future. It really does help to stay in the present moment. That's where the joy comes in, I feel. Like true joy.
I totally agree. And like, there's no shame if you find yourself getting caught up in that future forecast type stuff, because that's our brains are trying to do that automatically. But I think that is kind of like one of the more primitive coping mechanisms and less mature coping mechanisms. So as we grow and mature, we have to work on staying in the moment, because that's the best, and like that's how we move forward.
And you can't judge yourself if you are thinking about the past or the future. You know, it's not about beating yourself up or saying, oh look, I'm so stupid, oh my gosh, I'm shitty, whatever. That's just going to make it worse. So just a gentle reminder, oh, Amira, I'm doing it again. Okay, be focused in the present moment. So
so thank you so much.
You are welcome. Thank you.